Yo, what up guys, Precisely here with an announcement for the brand new fusion starting 22nd of September. This one will most likely be the fusion for the month of October, but it is starting 22nd of September. It's going to be an old school fusion. In this video, I want to give you my first impression of this fusion champion. Obviously a void legendary champion, right? And players in raid will have to do a bunch of events and tournaments until they finally get this champion by getting copies of either the rare or an epic. We don't yet know the fusion calendar and how it's going to look like, but you will most likely fuse epics into getting this legendary champion. That's usually how old school fusions go, right? You get a bunch of rare champions fused into an epic champion, fused eventually into a legendary champion. 4 epics fused into this one to get him. So this one of this fusion is one that you don't want to miss out on any of the events and tournaments that might give you the rare or the epics that you need. Either you're summoning shards, you're doing champion training, you're doing classic arena, you're doing dungeon divers, you're upgrading artifacts. All these events that you see during this time will give you pieces and pieces of this rare champion, or one of them might have the epic champion required. But when we see the calendar, we can decide. But I can tell you, even without looking at this champion kit, because right now other creators are saying this is going to be the best fusion so far for this year. It's going to be the best one. So I'm hyped about this one. In this video, I want to go over his kit, understand it, break it down for my own understanding, and maybe you get something out of it. And yeah, so this is my first impression of this fusion champion for the month of September. And we don't know yet what it's going to look like, but we want to talk about his kit. And of course, when he's released in-game, we'll have to see what he's all about. So like I said, Dwarves Legendary, that's all we know so far about him. Let's look at his kit. I'll also read out what Plarium officially says about him, so you guys can decide on your own if Plarium is right about it. Let me pull up the fusion information right here. Boom, there we go. All right, so his name, Granyt Doorkeep. Granyt Doorkeep. All right, does that mean that's why he's all made of stones and all that? Is that the granite? Granyt Doorkeep is his name, and these are his kits. Legendary HP based Spirit Affinity champion right here. And what other information do you want to know? His A1. You are barred. That's the first A1 right here skill that hits 3 times. Sounds familiar, right? Each hit has a 75% chance of removing a random buff from the target. Each hit will ignore 20% of the target's defense. So it's going to be a 100% chance to remove a random buff. High accuracy requirement right there to even remove the buff, but of course if the buffs are protected, it cannot be removed. So hitting 3 times, a 100% chance of removing their buffs. It's not an AoE skill, it's just gonna attack one person 3 times. So not quite sure where this is useful. Removing buffs, few of them fine, you will remove it, but stone skin, it's gonna be a 50-50, right? So that's this kit right here on the A1. I'm not quite impressed by it, but I like the fact that it hits 3 times. It doesn't do anything else than the removal of buff. But hey, the ignore defense part is telling me that this champion is going to be a damage dealer. For an A1 to even ignore defense, that's a good thing, can't lie. So plus the other ignore defense you have from your artifact, and the other ignore defense you have most likely from your masteries, this could rank up to a hard hitting A1 for an HP based nuker like this. All right, hitting 3 times means that enemy should probably go down, guaranteed to take an enemy down that is squishy, I guess. All right, now for the A2 called Gold Haymaker. This A2, it's on a 4-turn cooldown. When you spend books on it, it's gonna be a 3-turn cooldown. That's standard. That's not new in raid. That's normal that we always see. But it's gonna be an AoE damage dealing ability. He attacks all enemies. Before attacking, it places increased accuracy. That means you don't need to rely on high accuracy on this champion to even remove buffs from the A1. You might just build him with mid accuracy. With this increased accuracy, you can buff him up with extra 50% more accuracy than you built him with, which is always a good thing when you want to debuff enemies. So yes, this skill will debuff enemies, has a 75% chance booked up to a 100% chance of placing decreased defense and what? Block buff debuff. Okay. I'm thinking whether it's still PvE or PvP. So far, the A2 is looking like it's going to be more useful in PvE. gold haymaker. It's looking like it's going to be more useful in PvE, but hey, a chance to place decreased defense and then block buff debuff is something we normally need in every content in raid, so the enemies cannot buff themselves, or sometimes they cannot. You hit harder when they have decreased defense, but he doesn't place the decreased defense before he hits though, right? He places the increased accuracy before attacking, but the increased defense doesn't place before attacking. So attacks on enemies has a 75% chance of placing this debuff right here. But anyways, so that's going to be a 3-turn cooldown, 100% chance of placing the decreased defense and block buff debuff. Spirit Affinity not going to be useful against magic affinity enemies in the game, right? All right, that's good, I guess. I'm not quite sure what I like this skill. I hope there are other things I like about this champion, because I feel like there should be more. But increasing accuracy and landing 2 debuffs is not bad at all, because there are champions who do decrease defense and block buff debuff or other debuffs that do not increase their own accuracy. They rely on you building crazy 500, 600, crazy amount of accuracy, but he's like, no, give me the bare minimum of accuracy and I'll be able to do these 2 things for you without stress. So that's going to be a good one, and that means this champion can be built fast or with be more damage, so this skill can actually hit hard. All right, depends on the multipliers though. All this is subject to that. Or when we see other content creators who have access to the tier 3 server, or the test server, I mean, begin to show us videos and test servers access about how this champion works. All right, Demolisher Blow is another skill, a third skill that is on a 5-turn cooldown. When you spend books on it, it becomes a 4-turn cooldown. When you see a skill like this on a 4-turn cooldown, it means you're supposed to be good, because they don't want you to use it often. 3-turn cooldown skill, yeah, but 4-turn is usually supposed to be the best skill on this champion's kit. Attacks one enemy. Before attacking, it removes all debuffs from this champion, from himself, and places 15% shatter. What is that? Is that a new buff? And a 30% increased crit damage buff on all allies for 2 turns. Shatter. I have to open up my raid and check what shatter is now, because I don't even have the game on. I want to see if it's already existing in the game. Does shatter buff already exist? Let me quickly check so I know. I'll be right back. All right, I dug down. I found the information I was looking for. Shatter actually is a buff that has been in the game for a while now, and I never really took notice of it. Maybe because it's not on the champions I currently have on my account, so I never really saw this one available on any champions I currently own, because there is new buffs and new debuffs being added to the game almost every patch. So this shatter is a new one, I think, and increases a champion's ignore defense by 7.5 or 15%. 7.5% or 15%. Increases a champion's ignore defense. So what does that mean? It feels like this champion will not need you to even build him with high amount of ignore defense, depending on if you're already ignoring what, 100% plus the shatter buff. You might even decide not to build too much ignore defense on this champion. Maybe restrict yourself to a lower ignore defense artifact set than what you're currently used to, right? So this means you just hit harder. If you're ignoring the enemy's defense, you just hit harder. That's what this shatter is all about. So he's gonna put it on himself or on all allies, not just on himself now. He's gonna put the shatter buff on all allies and a 30% increased defense. We're used to this one, but this one is coming with not increased attack and ignore defense. I mean, it's not usually it's increased attack and increased crit damage, but now it's shatter buff and increased crit damage. All right, I see what they're doing, and just to have more champions in the game that have this buff, right? Will ignore unkillable stone skin and block damage buffs. He's ignoring all the arena buffs that usually stop us from doing ton of damage in the arena. Block damage is one I usually come across. Unkillable is not so much, except it's in a special artifact set. And stone skin, of course, is going to be the #1 issue with damage in raid. If you're trying to climb in the arena, everybody's in stone skin. So this champion is the solution to stone skin. If the target is under any unkillable stone skin or block damage buff, this attack will deal 100% more damage. I'm sorry I said trash about his A1, I talked smack about his A2, but what is this skill? Oh, let me not get too excited. It only attacks one person, right? Alright, let me not get too excited. It only attacks one enemy. I thought it's going to be an AoE skill right here. But because it's a single target hit, that's why it's doing all this crazy thing to whoever is targeted with this demolisher blow is certain to take down an enemy in one hit. Attacks one enemy. Before attacking, it removes all debuffs from himself and then places all this increased damage and then ignores all these buffs and then deals 100% more damage and then grants an extra turn if this attack kills an enemy. Of course, it's going to kill an enemy, but after he grants himself an extra turn, he's probably going to be left with his A2 and A1, which is not going to be as crazy as this one. So you have only one chance to take out one champion on the enemy team, and it better be one that you think will be a problem for you. Maybe their damage dealer, maybe their booster or whatever when you start the battle and go first. But you can build him very, very tanky and go second and still be able to have a chance to use this skill once if the enemy doesn't have him. Alright, so this is a champion that is going to be the next big thing you see in the arena. Once people get him, expect him to be everywhere in the arena because he ignores stone skin on one enemy. Now, if you find artifact sets that will make him use this skill often in battle, that's going to be great. That's why I told you it's going to be in a 4-turn cooldown. A 4-turn skill means they want you to be able to use it once in the entire battle. That's why it's not on a 3-turn cooldown, else there will be refresh accessories and other things players might use to make this skill happen again more often than every 4th turn. Damn, Demolisher Blow is amazing, but since he's granting himself an extra turn after using it, this is the one that most players will start the battle with and then go into the A2 or something, and then that will make this skill be on a 2-turn cooldown instead of 4, because it grants extra turn and then it goes with the extra turn. Then it's going to be a 2-turn cooldown instead of 4. All right, Stone Faced is a passive. Let me see if it gets even better. Is a passive that at the start of this champion's turn removes any fear, through fear, provokes stun, freeze. So that's going to be a passive that makes sure you cannot lock him out. Even petrification will be removed from this champion. The passive has no cooldown, so it will happen every time this champion is about to take a turn. That means you're guaranteed to always have that ability to use the A3 even if you try to crowd control this champion. No, he's still going to get a turn. Like Fabian, which is so annoying to deal with. Increase this champion's damage inflicted against targets with no buffs on them by 20%. So you better have some buffs that he can either ignore or strip off with the A1, or totally ignore with the A3 and nuke through it. Increase ally crit rate in battles by 20% is not a... Since they've given him a lot of great A3 and a good passive, they're like, there's no need to make the aura also good, because I don't see anybody in raid using a crit rate in all battles 20% aura at all. Players rather use defense aura than any other thing. Of course, we always rely on speed aura in the arena or any PvP battle. So this champion is definitely built for PvP because you're currently seeing the unkillable, the stone skin screams PvP. But if you have this champion as an early game player or mid or even end game player trying to beat content in raid, you're not interested in PvP, this skill alone is also something that can be useful in content like the Hydra, Chimera, because we're putting block, buff, debuff, and we're putting increased accuracy on all allies, not just on himself. Increased accuracy on all your allies means you can build them with less accuracy and rely on this skill to always, put the accuracy back up again on all your allies, so they can, get more stats in their build than building 500 accuracy on them. They can decide to build 250 and be relying on this increased accuracy to get them to the high numbers. All right, so we are impressed. I am impressed personally by this champion's A3 and passive. I don't know whether I'll be replacing him in my arena team with my mythical damage dealers, but just because of this kit, some players might begin to use this champion more. So let me know in the comments how you think this champion, this legendary champion, ranks up against your best mythical damage dealer that you currently have in your arena team. Would you be swapping him out, subbing one of your mythical damage dealers in live arena especially, or you think he doesn't measure up with them in terms of this is A3 and his passive? As for PvE, of course, we're going to slot him into any team that requires these 3 buff and 2 debuffs. All right, that's all I wanted to share about this champion. Like I said, this fusion is starting off on the September the 22nd, and yeah, let me say a little bit about what Plarium you know, in their own words, mention about this champion, so I don't just give out my own personal opinion about him. This is coming from Playroom now. They said Granyt is an arena first brawler. Did I close this video? Let me put the turnaround video in the background while I talk about what Playroom said about him. They say he's a arena first brawler designed to crack open buff heavy defenses and tear through stone skin stall teams. His aggressive kit brings consistent buff remover, bolstering his allies with powerful offensive buffs, which is true, and a heavy hitting finisher to close fights fast. That's not a finisher, that's the skill that people will use first. It's not a finisher. I'm talking about the A3 now. Granyt also strips any crowd control debuffs except for sheep. Oh, of course, sheep is already sheep, so he cannot deal with sheep. He can remove any other crowd control except sheep from himself at the start of his turn, giving him even more reliability against disruptive teams. Beyond the arena, like I said, it should be also used outside the arena. They say Granyt also holds solid PvE potential. His multi-hit A1 makes him strong pick for Fire Knight. Really? Without a freeze on the A1, who is farming Fire Knight level 20? Who is farming Fire Knight level 20 or 25? Because, you know, a triple hitter like this without a freeze on that A1 will not be used for Fire Knight hard. That's just it. Every champion we use there almost have that A1. So yeah, they say Fire Knight though. They didn't say Fire Knight hard, so they said it's going to be a strong pick for Fire Knight, I guess, for some players who are still not using A1 freeze champions in Fire Knight. While his A2 brings valuable debuffs and utility for Hydra. So that's true. Yeah, that's all Playroom said about him. So you can choose where you want to use this champion, but I'd love to know your comments below what you think about Granyt Doorkeep. So yeah, I would love to see this fusion. Of course, I'm not skipping out on this one. If not just because of the A3, maybe I'll find use for the A2 someday. All right. Like, subscribe for more daily raid content, and when this fusion officially launches, we'll see the fusion calendar and see how difficult or how easy this one would be for us to complete. Yeah, looking forward to the next 2, 3, or how long is it gonna last? Usually fusion lasts 3 or 4 weeks in raid, but let's see how long this one will take to complete, and hopefully we don't miss out on any rares. And for newer players coming in, the fusion looks exactly like this. He will be at the top of the reward right here, where you fuse a bunch of rares and epics to have eventually click the fuse and get him. So this is the 5 days you have now to do a fusion prep. And what is a fusion prep? Let me add this to the end of the video, so you know, because this might be your first fusion, your second one, but you have 5 days now to start saving energy. That's the first thing. If you go to this filter shop, no energies. I have no energy. Damn, I thought I really had some. I already used everything. So this is my chance to start stacking up on some energy right here and not claim them. No need to claim them. I see that the clan shop did reset with some energy right here. Oh, no energy this time around. I already claimed the last 1000, so no energy. But if it had energy, we could have saved it for that purpose. So you want to save shards, you want to save energy from all sources that is coming in. If you're fighting any content like right now that gives you a little bit of energy, you don't want to claim it today, you want to wait for it to expire and go to your inbox. Let's say I'm doing the Fire Knight and it has a little bit of energy, it doesn't. But any event that has energy, you don't want to claim it, wait till the 5 days. And then it might start off this Friday. No, it's on a Monday, so there's no way to save this prism crystal for until then, right? Is it start with the champion chase? 1 day and 18 hours. So no, there's no way to hold on to this until the champion chase. So speaking about champion chase, today is going to be Wednesday, so by Friday I thought I saw some announcement about the champion chase coming up. Yeah, anyways, I just wanted to give you my first impression of this new legendary champion coming into raid, and yeah, I'm actually very excited about this one, and I am not going to be missing out on it. It's not like I've missed out on any fusion anytime in a year or two in raid, so this is not about to be the first one. Definitely going to do all I can to get him and see what he can do for my account. All right, see you guys in the next one. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're closer to that 8k mark, just a few more subs to get to that 8k, and we can do giveaways twice a month on the channel. So if you've not subscribed yet, like your days, 60% of the players base who watch these videos and not hit that subscribe button, it's totally free to hit it. You can turn off the notifications and all that good stuff so you don't receive notifications from me, but at least hit that sub button to support the channel. That's all I ask for. Get us to that 8K mark and we're able to do giveaways twice a month. 540 gems and 1 ancient shard giveaways currently happening once a month will be done twice a month. And I also receive more content creator perks so I can make more videos and make my account more crazy and impressive. Right? Later, guys.